Welcome in, everybody, to Vol Society Live on another Wednesday night as we are getting ready to talk about Tennessee basketball. Tennessee begins its 2021-2022 basketball season coming up with an exhibition game this Saturday against Lenore Ryan. And then the first game of the season will be that next Tuesday, November the 9th, against UT Martin. And we'll break down the schedule. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. I figured this would be an appropriate night since Tennessee football is on a bye week. We are going to dive into this upcoming basketball season. And like I said, if you are wondering about my thoughts about the Alabama game, and we actually got some breaking news tonight of Harrison Bailey entering the transfer portal. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/UT Vol Society. That's where you'll get the latest in football updates, and plus the latest news with Harrison Bailey entering the transfer portal. And then I will give my full thoughts on the football team next Wednesday night as we preview Kentucky. But right now, let's go ahead and dive into basketball. Welcome in, everybody, to watching us on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Thank you to our Facebook followers. Over 4,600 of you are following along. Thank you very much. Continue to support the Vol Society that way. Plus, thank you to our YouTube watchers tuning in tonight. Over 70 subscribers to YouTube. We just eclipsed that today, so thank you very much. And also, don't forget, you can leave us some comments throughout the show. I'll try my best to answer each and every one of your comments throughout the night. All right, so we got all that out of the way. Let's go ahead and dive into this basketball season. Of course, last year was a strange basketball season, not only for University of Tennessee, but for the entire college basketball world, as we were still battling through the pandemic and a lot of stop and starts throughout the season. But Tennessee managed to have a season. Tennessee went 18-9 last year, 10-7 in the SEC, and ended up losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Oregon State. Like I said, this was a team last year that, like I said, you kind of didn't know what to expect. You knew you had some you had some great players and some leaderships with John Fulkerson and Josiah Jordan-James and Santiago Vescovi, and we'll dive in more to them when we do the roster preview. But then you had the exciting freshmen coming in, the two 5-stars in Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer. And, it took some growing pains to get through. And, of course, obviously dealing with the pandemic, like I said, it brought a lot of stops and starts throughout the year. And it took a while for those two freshmen to really get going. But Keon Johnson really took off in the, I guess you could say, the second half of the season and really became our best player of the team. And, of course, to no surprise that both Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer entered their names into the NBA draft. And like I said, let's go ahead and kind of break down the roster here. As I mentioned, Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer both declared for the NBA draft. Both were drafted. Keon Johnson was drafted originally by the New York Knicks and then traded to the Los Angeles Clippers, and he is on the active roster as of this moment. And Jaden Springer was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers, and then on October 24th, he was assigned to the Sixers G League team, which I believe is in Delaware as their G League affiliate. And then Yee Pons also finished out his eligibility. He tried out. He entered his name into the NBA draft, was undrafted. Then he had a tryout with the Memphis Grizzlies and made the roster. So congratulations to Yee Pons. Got to sign a contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's going to be kind of a two-way player as far as he's going to be on the Grizzlies roster and also will be playing for the G League team, the Memphis Hustle. So I know I have some family out in Memphis, and I'm sure they may go out there and catch Yee playing in the G League and also for the Grizz. Some players enter the transfer portal from last year's squad. Devontae Gaines went to George Mason, and he'll be playing for Kim English. Of course, if you may not know, Tennessee's both assistant coaches end up picking up head coaching jobs. Kim English, young up and coming head coach, got his first head coaching gig at George Mason, and Devontae Gaines went with them. So congratulations to Kim English for that. And then another assistant coach, Desmond Oliver, longtime assistant coach with Rick Barnes, became the new head coach at ETSU. So congratulations to him on that. Other players, Drew Pember, local kid from Knoxville, entered the transfer portal, and he is going to UNC Asheville. EJ Anasiki, who was a transfer from Sacred Heart that came to Tennessee a couple of years ago, is going to, I think he's going to be a super senior. He transferred to Cal State Fullerton. And then Corey Walker, who didn't really see a lot of action for the Big Orange, he's going to South Florida. Brad, our founder, is in the chat room tonight. He says, how do you see Tennessee going this year? You think Final Four? It's going to be a very interesting year. I really like this team. As we talk about some of the additions, you know, the number 2 or number 1, depends on which recruiting site you read, class coming to Knoxville, and it is led by Kennedy Chandler. I'm excited to see Kennedy Chandler play the number 1 point guard in the nation last year in high school. 5-star kid from Sunrise Christian Academy out of Memphis, 6'1", 170. Then you also have Brandon Huntley Hatfield, 6'9", 215-pound forward. And then I think you're also going to see Jonas Adu, a 4-star, 6'11" senior, and I think he's definitely going to fill that spot where Yee Pons was last year. And then you're also mixing in some veterans like John Fulkerson, who's coming back for his super senior year. That's a nice pickup. Everybody loves Folky around here. He's been a fan favorite since he stepped on campus, just by his heart and desire on the court. And he's almost like an extra assistant coach. Definitely a great locker room leader. And, of course, Josiah Jordan James and Santiago Vescovi. So I really like this team as far as a mix of veterans and Folky and Josiah and Santiago, and plus adding the addition of these young kids of Kennedy Chandler, Brandon Huntley Hatfield, who may be one-and-done guys. I think Kennedy Chandler definitely will be. And then with this other recruiting class coming in, matter of fact, I think Brandon Huntley Hatfield was supposed to come in next year, but he enrolled early with Tennessee, so he is on the roster. And then you got B.J. Edwards, who thought about coming in this year, and I think he decided to stay another year or play his high school senior ball. He's from Knoxville, also plays at Catholic. So I think this team, like I said, depends on it all starts and stops with Kennedy Chandler run the point. And we saw Keon Johnson run the point last year and did fine for us, but it seemed like that offense was always kind of out of sync at times. But I think this year, this offense is really going to step up. And kind of looking at some stats here, Tennessee only averaged 71 points a game last year, which ranked 152 second in the nation. And there's 340 teams that play D1 basketball. So, it's just a little bit below halfway, but it's kind of shocking to see a Rick Barnes team, which they're not always been a high power offensive squad, but 71 points. I don't think Coach Barnes really likes that. Defensively, they played great last year. They finished 26th in the nation as far as giving up points, only 63 a game. But kind of look at the rest of the stats from last year. Field goal percentage was 43%, which is okay. The rebounds was way off last year. Averaged like 35 rebounds per game, which was ranked 215th in the nation, which is not good at all. Hello to my grandparents watching. And like I said, I think their offense really needs to improve, and I really like this squad as far as, like I said, with Kennedy Chandler running the point. Vescovi, like I said, he led the team last year in field goal percentage. free throw percentage, and of course assists. So I think he can help out big time, and it feels like he doesn't have to be the necessary playmaker. Of course, a couple of years ago we tried Vescovi to run the point, and didn't really. I mean, it worked at times, but you can tell that he was kind of a little off. And of course, he got enrolled pretty early a couple of years ago, like started right at SEC play. So we shall see how it goes. Like I said, we mentioned John Fulkerson returning, Josiah Jordan-James, Santiago Vescovi, Victor Bailey Jr. is coming back. Like I said, I think I don't know if he's a super senior or not, but I know he's definitely a senior. Believe it or not, he's the returning scorer from last year, 10 points a game he averaged. And like I said, he can knock it down from the outside, and I think that's obviously that's a shot he loves to take. But at times he got cold. And like I said, the 3-point shots was really bad last year. It was ranked in the 200s. Like I said, out of 340 schools, it was way, way down. And I think we really addressed that very nicely as far as, like I said, Santiago's going to hit his shots. Bailey's going to hit his shots. And then Josiah Jordan-James will knock it down from three every once in a while. Probably not his most favorite shot, but he'll take it from time to time. And then, like I said, I'm excited to see what Kennedy Chandler can do. Like I said, we know he can attack the rim, and like I said, and has a great feel for the floor. Like I said, we'll see if he can feel confident, knock some shots down. I forgot to mention Tennessee did pick up one player in the transfer portal, the only one, and that's Justin Powell. Now, Justin Powell came from Auburn, and of course, us knowing Bruce Pearl's teams over the years, they love to shoot the three-pointers and run an up-tempo style. And he played 10 games last year, started 7 games, and unfortunately had a season-ending concussion that ended his year. But he averaged 11 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 44% beyond the arc. And like I said, if Tennessee wants to get back to attacking the three and get some wide open quality shots, I think Justin Powell is going to be a nice addition to us. And like I said, it wouldn't shock me if he would start. It's going to, like I said, once we break down who I think the starting five is, it's going to be quite interesting. Kind of looking at the schedule coming up, we got some big games throughout the season. As we mentioned, this Saturday, Tennessee will play an exhibition matchup against Lenoir-Rhyne, a 3 p.m. tip-off on the SEC Network Plus app. So if you have SEC Network Plus, you can check it out. And I think I thought I read this week that tickets are like $5 for the game. So I'm not sure if that's all the tickets or if that's certain sections of the arena, but I did remember reading that they were like $5. So if you have a family want to go out and watch some basketball, I think that's a big benefit to do before you go trick or treating that night. But Tennessee's regular season opener will be on November the 9th on a Tuesday night, and that's the opening night of college basketball is on November the 9th as they take on UT Martin. That's a 7 p.m. tip-off on the SEC Network. And then some other, like I said, they have another game, another non-conference game before they play in a tournament against ETSU. And then on November the 20th and 21st, Tennessee will be playing in the Hall of Fame tournament in the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. And of course, if you're a fan of UFC, you're very familiar with the Mohegan Sun Arena, as they will take on Villanova in their opening tournament game, and that's going to be on a Saturday, November the 20th at 1:00, and that's on ESPN News. And then if they win that game or lose that game, they will either get North Carolina or Purdue on that Sunday afternoon. So big tournament right there for Tennessee and nice resume builder. Brad says, what would be the top game at Thompson-Boling Arena this year? As far as non-conference goes, I would probably say Arizona, and that game's going to be on December 22nd. Now, Arizona has not been the powerhouse as they've been the last several years due to kind of lack of performance. And they're under an NCAA investigation through their previous coach, Sean Miller. So they got a brand new coach. He was I can't remember his name right now, Tommy something. He was the assistant coach at Gonzaga, and he was going to take over Mark Few at Gonzaga whenever he retired, but he decided to take this Arizona job. So I think that's going to be a very good matchup. I really like the matchup with Arizona. I think we can get the win. But it's a big time program, and like I said, I think that's going to be a nice game for us. And then in conference, obviously Kentucky is a big game. That game's going to be on a Tuesday night this year. I think that's on Super Tuesday on ESPN this year. That's usually our CBS game, but this year, Tommy Lloyd, thank you, Brad, is the Arizona coach. So yeah, that game's going to be on day after Valentine's Day, February 15th. And then the regular season finale against Arkansas on March the 5th. That could be a possibility for Tennessee if Tennessee is right there in the thick of the SEC regular season title picture. I think that game with Arkansas could be for the regular season championship, because if you look at the SEC preseason projections, they have Kentucky finishing first, and they got a really good team for John Calipari. But I think I think Alabama, Arkansas is right there in the thick of things. Auburn's always going to be a tough team. LSU can be challenging, and then obviously us. But I think if Arkansas, Tennessee are 1 and 2 in the SEC regular season finale, that could be a big time matchup for Tennessee. And plus, I'm sure most of y'all know the top 4 seeds. The top 4 seeds that finish in the regular season gets a double bye in the in the SEC tournament. So you don't have to play until Friday. So I'm sure both of those schools, Tennessee and Arkansas, will both be playing for that double bye and possibly a regular season championship. So I'm really looking forward to that game on March 5th against Arkansas. Like I said, looking through the rest of the schedule, Tennessee plays, as far as non-conference foes go, we play Texas Tech in the Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden. That game is on December the 7th when we play Tennessee Tech. And I mentioned the Arizona game. December the 18th, Tennessee will play Memphis at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. This is supposed to wrap up the 3-year contract agreement with Memphis. Of course, we played the first year at Memphis, which Tennessee won, and then last year we were supposed to play Memphis in Knoxville. That game got canceled by COVID, and this is the 3rd year that met in Memphis. Brad said, "Well, I'll be going to Indy games this year." Possibility. I'm going to have to see what I can squeeze out. Definitely will try to see if I can get out to Thompson-Boling Arena this year. It's been, believe it or not, the last game I went to was the Auburn game in 2019, which turned out to be the last game of the regular season for it was 2020. The Auburn game in 2020. And of course, that was the last game of that season, unfortunately. But so like I said, there's a lot of Saturday games that I could possibly go to. I know Auburn is on a Saturday, Arkansas game. I really love to go to that Arkansas game, especially if both teams are in the thick of things. LSU is on a Saturday this year, and I think Vanderbilt's on a Saturday too. And so, like I said, there's some really good matchups. Tennessee's also going to participate in the SEC Big 12 Challenge again this year as they take on the Texas Longhorns. So Rick Barnes returns back to Austin for the first time since leaving there. And Texas is going to be possibly a top 5 team when we meet them. Chris Bird came from Texas Tech to Texas to take over that program, and they hit the jackpot when it comes to the transfer portal. They got a lot of big-time guys. They ended up picking up Devin Askew, who came from Kentucky, picked up kid from Vanderbilt. Trey Mitchell, who was the leading scorer at UMass, averages 19 points a game out there. He transferred to Texas. So this is going to be a huge matchup, a possible college game day type atmosphere on January 29th in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. That's going to be an 8 p.m. tip off on ESPN. And then, like I said, as far as the SEC goes in basketball, I think a lot of people are saying this is possibly the best conference in college basketball, and I think it's going to be very competitive this year. I think you've got 8, maybe 9 teams that will make the NCAA tournament just from the SEC. And just think about less than 10 years ago, we were just barely getting 2 or 3 in. And you talk about the quality of coaches that have come in. Of course, Coach Calipari's been around for the longest time. He's the longest tenure head coach in the SEC. But we got Rick Barnes in. Coach has been there, done that. And then some young coaches like Eric Musselman at Arkansas, Will Wade at LSU, and Mike White from Florida. So these coaches are, like I said, stamping their footprint in SEC basketball and these respectable basketball programs, and it's built the conference up really nice. And we're seeing big time players come in and huge recruits. And it's not just necessarily all the recruits are going to Kentucky, although they are getting some, but they're coming to Knoxville and they're coming to Fayetteville and Baton Rouge and Gainesville, and it's just kind of all over the place. And even Vanderbilt, possibly going to finish. I don't know if they'll finish last in the SEC this year, but they had the SEC preseason player of the year in Scottie Pippen Jr. So, like I said, the from the top to bottom in the SEC is looking really nice. Mississippi State's a sleeper team. They end up picking up Garrison Brooks out of the transfer portal from North Carolina. So that's another team I think Tennessee's going to have to kind of contend this year. So, like I said, I'm excited to see how SEC basketball is really going to look this year, especially with this Tennessee program. Like I said, it's a mixture of young, exciting kids, the number 1, number 2 recruiting class in the nation, led by the number 1 point guard in Kennedy Chandler, and along with Hunley Hatfield. And then you got your veterans, John Fulkerson, the super senior, fan favorite, already a legend, and the new spokesperson for Mayfield's Dairy Farms, along with Josiah Jordan James, Santiago Vescovi, Victor Bailey Jr., and then a couple of bench players that helped us out last year, Olivier Comlois and Uros Plavish, also coming back next year. And then you have some other freshmen that you'll probably see at the beginning of the year, but by the time that Tennessee usually trims their rotation, don't know if you'll probably see them too much. Like Haji Tamba from another local kid from Knoxville, played at Catholic. Zaire Ziegler, from the Bronx, a lot of hype for him. I'm sure he'll probably get some playing time early on, but I don't know if he'll be around for SEC play. I think your starting 5 next year. Obviously, Kennedy Chandler is going to run the point. Your shooting guard, either Justin Powell or Santiago Vescovi. Probably going to go with Justin Powell early on just to kind of get him acquainted. I think Vescovi can be nice coming off the bench. I think Victor Bailey Jr. will be your small forward. And then Fulkerson will probably play the 4. And then I think you'll probably see Joseph Adu, the 6'11 senior. That's who I would put in the middle. Like I said, to kind of help Folky out. Now, yeah, he is a freshman and probably it's going to take some time to kind of get acquainted. But, like I said, Tennessee, needs some help underneath the glass. I mean, they really struggled last year in rebounding. And like I said, Fulkerson and Pons did all they could. And, well, even Josiah Jordan James, he averaged about 8 rebounds a game. But I think it's going to be, like I said, I think that's who I would go with just to get some size underneath the glass and really crash that glass. And then you have your sharpshooters coming out there. Any questions so far as Tennessee basketball goes? Like I said, thanks for like I said, like I said, I think it's going to be a very fun season. Uh, Definitely an NCAA tournament team. Kind of answering Brad's question, I kind of did a little run around. It could be a possible Final Four team. Like I said, I just think the SEC and basketball is going to it's going to be really deep. There's going to be some great games. And like I said, Tennessee's got a lot of games that's going to be on TV this year. Of course, if you don't have the SEC Network Plus app, I think there's only like 3 games that's going to be affected by that, and the rest of them is going to be on ESPN or the SEC Network. And the only game that we're on CBS this year is the South Carolina game in South Carolina. So plenty of opportunity to see Tennessee. Of course, kind of easy for us here, but on a national level, it's going to be really exciting to see. And just SEC basketball in general. I'm excited to kind of see what Kentucky does. Like I said, I really like Keon Brooks from Kentucky. I think he's going to be a real key factor for them. Arkansas, they got some. They're going to be physical this year. Alabama hadn't really touched on either with Nate Oates. They got 2 great players coming back, including Jaden Shackelford, a big sharpshooter. Of course, Alabama won the SEC tournament last year, so that's going to be a very dangerous opponent. And of course, you have Auburn and LSU, kind of middle tier teams, but I think can definitely make the NCAA tournament. And the thing is with Tennessee last year, we kind of, like I said, Kobe kind of played a factor in our momentum at times. And I don't think we hadn't really saw with football being any starts and stops, and I don't see it really happening with basketball. I think we're just gonna go full straight through. Brad just now noticed what time's the football game this Saturday? 2 a.m. No, but as far as like I said, as far as the SEC goes, I'm just excited to see, and trying to think of some other teams here. Like I said, top to bottom is going to be really nice to see. Real quickly, I'll talk about the Lady Vols. This is going to be a big year for Kelly Harper too. I should mention that they are preseason finished to finish second in the SEC behind South Carolina. Of course, Dawn Staley's been the queen of SEC basketball the last several years, so kind of a lot of hype coming in for this Lady Vols team. I think Ray Burrell, she got preseason all first SEC team, and she really helped us out late into the season. And I can't wait to see how this Lady Vols team does, and hopefully we can bring another SEC championship back to Knoxville for women's basketball. And just kind of tying it all together, we're talking about basketball tonight, but just I'm really loving all of our sports getting some sort of national exposure, some good and some not good. We've mentioned this several times on the live streams on Boston Society Live. It started with baseball, and we saw that great run made it to Omaha, and then we're seeing what the football team has done this year. Like I said, over expectations with the team, and everything that went through last year to this year, and fans supported that. And then with soccer doing well and volleyball doing well, and now we're coming into the winter sports and basketball, and with men's and women's, and then we'll talk about baseball next year. It's going to be good. Brad says, don't forget to support our ladies soccer team tomorrow, playing for a second straight SEC East championship, going for the 15th regular season win, and set a program record, and senior night 6 p.m. tomorrow. So yes, so if you're in the Knoxville area, go support that soccer team, doing an outstanding job. And kudos to Danny White, Donnie Plowman, the vice chancellor, Randy Bell, the president of UT. I mean, like I said, it's not the Game of Thrones up there in Knoxville right now, where it's a lot of backstabbing. It seems like it's a very family atmosphere. Even through the media storm we went through a couple of weeks ago after the Ole Miss game, it seems like folks have kind of quit talking about it. I mean, yeah, you may see a mustard joke or a golf ball joke every once in a while, but it really hasn't affected too much. athletes all around. Brad says good stuff, and definitely thanks to Danny and Dondi. And I mean, just the entire athletic department, just the campus in general, has really rely on athletics being superior, and I'm excited, and it's just. And even Rick Barnes, in his media press conference, talked about the football team and gave kudos to Josh Heupel and stuff. And uh, like I said, I'm excited just seeing Tennessee athletics, probably the healthiest. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. It's been in over a decade. I mean, it's exciting to see. I was watching some kind of hyping myself up with basketball, watching some old highlights from 10, 15 years ago. And, you think about when we had Philip Former and Bruce Pearl and Pat Summitt uh, all on campus, and then the athletes like Candace Parker at that time and Chris Lofton and Monica Abbott for softball. It's just a good positive momentum at that time. And I think we're coming around again with some good positive coaches, administrative staff, players, and I really am enjoying what Tennessee athletics has really done. I mean, yes, we've been a punching bag for a long time, but to kind of quote Evan Russell on the baseball team, maybe it's time for us to be the villains for a little while. You know, like I said, and that's the thing is, if you want to earn people's respect, especially right now, you're going to have to win ball games. And if you hear, oh, we can go in there and beat Tennessee, they're still living in the past, and you go out there and win, you're going to drive that other fan base nuts. Like, how in the world did we lose to Tennessee? And then the respect will have to come. But it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. As you kind of see, I changed the background from football to basketball. I'll have to change that back to football probably next week, or maybe do a combo. But it's been very fun to talk some Tennessee basketball. Hoop season's coming up. Is that the lane trainer here in the back? Yeah, possibly driving down through here. Making it past Thomas and Betts here. All right. Anyways, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, hoops starts up. Only exhibition matchup this Saturday, and then the regular season tip off against UT Martin. The Hall of Fame tournament's going to be a lot of fun, playing Villanova, North Carolina, Purdue. We got a road game at Colorado, and then the Jimmy V Classic with Texas Tech. That's like the third time I almost called them Tennessee Tech. Memphis, always a fun rivalry game, meeting in Music City, USA. Arizona comes to Knoxville. Brad says season opener starts when? Tuesday, November the 9th, against UT Martin, 7 o'clock tip-off on the regular SEC network. So that should be a lot of fun. That's also the opening night of college basketball, as I mentioned. Usually that opening night, you have the Champions Classic on ESPN, and it is almost time. And then, like I said, I really like this schedule. I think this team is definitely can win over 25 regular season games. 30 is probably going to push it. You're going to have to upset some teams, especially since the SEC is pretty heavy this year. And, got a big road game in the non-conference in the SEC Big 12 Challenge against Texas. A lot of emotion probably be going on with Rick Barnes there, but should be a fun matchup. And even like a game like UNC Greensboro on December 11th is going to be a little bit tough. They're the defending SoCon champions. So, like I said, these are great tournament resume builders, and Rick Barnes is not shy to play anybody. I mean, we've seen him play against, Gonzaga's in the past, and then, of course, the Kansas and schools like that. Who are your top 3 teams in your opinion? As far as the country goes, I like Gonzaga, UCLA at 1 and 2, and then number 3, possibly Baylor will be right there at number 3, defending national champions. But I really like this Gonzaga team. Jalen Suggs is coming back for the Bulldogs. They're going to be the preseason favorite. Matter of fact, they are the preseason favorite at number 1. UCLA, they had that great Final Four run last year. Johnny Juzang and the Bruins. I really like them. And Baylor at number 3. And then as far as the SEC goes, the media did pick Kentucky to be the preseason favorite. I actually kind of like Alabama a little bit better than Kentucky because they're going to lot up the scoreboard, but they finished in the top 5 in total defense last year, and had a Jaden Shackelford there, and just the rest of that team is going to be really tough. I think we're probably right at number 2, number 3 as far as right behind Alabama. Arkansas is probably right there too, and even Kentucky. Like I said, it's very top heavy, and even the middle row is going to be very really good too. And all the way down, even like I said, having Scottie Pippen Jr. at Vanderbilt, which they may finish near the bottom of the SEC, but I think they're going to be competitive in games. Probably South Carolina may be the worst team now I think about it in the SEC. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us as we talk a little basketball. I got my Sweet 16 shirt from a couple of years ago. Hopefully it'll say Final Four, not Sweet 16. Like I said, and let's definitely let's try to get to 5,000 5,000 followers this week. We're at 4,600. Let's try to get 5,000 pretty soon. I don't know when to. I don't know what. Brad will have to come up with a date, a target date on that. I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. So he says by next Wednesday, 5,000 followers. All right, thank you. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun talking some Tennessee hoops. Like I said, Tennessee football is on the bye week. I thought this was an appropriate time. Like I said, we'll talk about the Alabama game from last week, and then we will preview Kentucky. And of course, please make sure to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/UT Ball Society. And we pull that back up once again. There you go, especially for our YouTube watchers. Want to know the website name. We're also on Twitter at Society Vol, so be careful when you're searching for us on Twitter. And like I said, thank you to our YouTube subscribers. We just hit 70, so you will see Vol Society live and other content hopefully in the near future. Like I said, Tennessee basketball is here. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Like I said, next Wednesday night, we will preview Kentucky. We'll recap the Alabama game. We'll also talk about Harrison Bailey's transfer in more detail. Looking forward to it. And check out this one more comment. And Brad says, thanks, Dave. Great show. Home run Braves. Yes, we got 1-1. Okay. So 1-1, game 2 of the World Series. I'm messing it right now. Like I said, I'm a Braves fan. Brad, our founder, is a Dodgers fan. So we got a lot going on in the sports world with the World Series, college basketball coming up. College football still hot and heavy. Like I said, hopefully do good. Brad says he's for the Braves now. All right, that's wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We'll talk to y'all next Wednesday night as we, like I said, recap Alabama. We'll preview Kentucky, big football game that next week. And obviously we'll talk more about college basketball and hoops once we really get into the season. We went 40 minutes tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to y'all next Wednesday night right here on Ball Society Live. Until then, David Morrison saying, have a great night. And always, go Vols and go Braves.